In very strong patriarchal societies, actually gender stereotyping is also very severe, and it starts almost at birth. First, of course, there is absolutely no celebration when girls are born. It might be resignation for the first child and then a positive lament as it goes on. The one thing that begins very early on is that all talk of marriage surrounding a girl, right? That, oh, the girl is not pretty, and so how will she get married now? And it's going to be very hard to find her a groom, okay? Lo and behold, just God forbid there is any kind of a deformity or disability, my God, then the whole, it becomes almost raucous, the whole talk about, oh God, such a, how is she ever going to get married? So marriage seems to drive this entire stereotyping actually. And when boys are born, it doesn't matter what they look like, but it's almost as though it's God's gift just because it's a son. Right, so there's a lot of celebration, etc. And boys are never stereotyped with the whole narrative of marriage, whereas girls, it becomes very soon, and then it drives everything else. The girl must be pretty, she must also be good at housework. Then of course she must be very docile and submissive. So there's a lot of talk of, you're a girl, you shouldn't be talking so loudly, you shouldn't be laughing so loudly, you should not be meeting anybody's gaze, and you should learn to walk with your gaze turned downward, you should definitely not be argumentative, and there is absolutely no attention given to her being smart or intelligent. And in fact, there is almost a denigrating of that yes, you think you're very smart, well, that's not going to get you anywhere. In fact, your in-laws probably won't like it, and then and then your husband will be resenting that. So there is no need to show off your smarts. All right. And her being pretty and presentable is almost something that is very, very carefully worked at. And so the stereotype is very clear that girls must be pretty, they must be docile, they must be submissive, and they must be very, very, very marketable in the marriage market, right? For boys, on the other hand, the smarts are important, and so if they're intelligent, that is played up, oh, this boy is so smart. Then the boy must be manly, he must be tough, he must not be a sissy, quote unquote, which means if he cries, then he's a sissy. If he's very gentle, then he's a sissy, right? And he must be aggressive, he must be assertive, and he should be a real boy, quote unquote. And there are very clear cultural norms, though I think in terms for boys, I think this is pretty universal across the board, across cultures, across countries. For girls, it still holds good for very patriarchal societies like India is. And I'm really very proud to be on the Think Equal Advisory Board, because they are working and they believe that if you start deconstructing these stereotypes very early, especially in the early formative years, in the minds of girls and boys who internalize these stereotypes and start acting like a girl, acting like a boy, then we can do a lot to breaking the stereotypes. Gender stereotyping is a very strong constructor of gender inequality, because just think of it, when from early on you value different things in girls and boys, right? Girls are supposed to be pretty. What does they do to girls who are not pretty then? That's one. Then girls are supposed to be submissive, which means already you're teaching them to play a unequal role. That girls must be docile, they must be obedient, they must be submissive. Well, submit to what and to whom? Right? They must know that this is an unequal play, it's an unequal playing field, they have an unequal place in that, and they are trained actually to accept it, to adopt it, and to behave unequal without any sign of protest. It's also a hegemonic way of co-opting girls in the whole patriarchal structure and giving them their proper place, and then building it in such a way that girls all want to be good girls. And of course, as you grow on, girls must be chaste, they must be virgins, boys can play the field. right? Boys can be assertive. Boys are taught a sense of, they're given a sense of entitlement through their gender stereotypes. They're taught how to be superior. They are encouraged to be superior, and if they are not, and if they don't behave or they don't act like that, then they are penalized for that. And the same goes for girls. So what does the gender stereotype do? It actually perpetuates the unequal patriarchal structure, which gives an unequal status to girls, a lower status, and a higher status to boys, and it hegemonically co-opts girls into accepting that, so that they don't even feel they have the right to protest, and as a result of it they don't, and if they do it very, very guiltily, and they are shamed at every step that you're not performing your role as a girl, and if you're not, then you're not a good girl. And so if you're not a good girl, then there is a certain social familial rejection which nobody wants. And that is how these gender stereotypes really keep girls and boys in their proper place. And in a patriarchy, it's very clear what that place is. Boys are here and girls are here. And if you, with the gender stereotypes, help in keeping you in this place. Teachers and all of us actually, we are all socialized in the same patriarchal social structure. And right from childhood, actually from birth, we are socialized into our roles and defined by our genders. If we are girls, if we are women, then that's the role we play. If we are boys, then that's the role we play. And we tend to then socialize our children and all the children that we are taking care of, and that goes for teachers and parents both, into those gender roles. I think which is why if we want to break these gender stereotypes, if we want a more equal, a more gender just, more gender equal world, then we have to unsocialize parents and of course most importantly teachers. School is a very important place where you can deconstruct these gender stereotypes, which are, and especially in people's brains. You can develop more egalitarian mindsets and conceptual structures. But for that, first teachers must learn to deconstruct their own gender unequal mindsets. And for that, it is important, one, to open the discussion, build a feminist consciousness in teachers, both male and female, help them be aware that gender discrimination is wrong. Two, that gender inequality is not natural. It is a social, historical construct. It is unfair to girls and women, to them as female teachers, and that it can be deconstructed, and they have a very important role to play in that. So it can take the form of trainings, as we do at CHEF. We conduct very targeted trainings of all our teachers, which take the form of critical dialogues. We've developed a critical feminist pedagogy, and we first make our own teachers aware of gender inequality in their own lives, aware of their own gender biases, and then help them deconstruct them. It takes a long time, right? But unless you do that, it is not possible for them to transact any curricula, the best curricula that aims at gender equality, without first working at it in their own mindsets, in their own personal lives, and in their own families. Patriarchy affects boys in a very special way. It gives them a huge sense of entitlement, and it gives them power and privilege, but it also lays a huge responsibility on their shoulders. So when we talk about toxic masculinities that are created or constructed by patriarchy, what does that mean? It means that boys are expected to be tough. They are actually socialized into being violently tough and dominant. So there is no place for a gentle boy or man. There is no place for a boy or man who has a great nurturing instinct and would like to be a nurturing, sharing, gentle person. And there is a punishment for that. They are discarded by their peers, by their families, and there's a huge pressure to behave in a certain way. So one, it's very stressful. Second, there is, in patriarchal societies, men are supposed to be providers, they are supposed to bear the responsibility of taking care of their parents and their families, and they're supposed to do that almost alone, right? Whereas wives are relegated to the domestic sphere and they take care of the homes, etc. That's a huge responsibility. And there are male suicides in India, farmer suicides, because often they can't do it alone. And why should they be expected to do it alone? So when we talk about toxic masculinity, what it means is, one, it makes them into these, there is a whole concept of what it means to be a masculine man. And because that is the way it is identified, because it's held up as an ideal, everyone wants to be a masculine man, right? And in India we call it mardangi, or mard. And that is normally a domineering, alpha male, violent, aggressive, assertive man. Now what it does is, it actually encourages them to be dominant, to be superior, to assert that superiority, to actually be oppressive, to suppress their wives' aspirations, or the girls, they comment at their sisters' aspirations. And then it also lays a huge stress on them to keep on maintaining that place, or at least the facade of that place, which has its own stress and leads to its own violence. What it has done is, it has perpetuated all the gender-based violence against women and men in this country and other patriarchal societies like ours. And it has also been unfair to men, though they don't realize it perhaps, in terms of laying an unfair share of the burden of taking care of families, being providers, and being the drivers of the family's economy, which isn't fair to them. And it's also not fair to them that they should never be allowed to express their emotions, that they should never be allowed to even grieve or cry when they're unhappy and upset, because that's a sign of not being a man. And so that lays its own stress. So toxic masculinity actually, so masculinity is what needs attention too. And maybe feminists and people who have worked at gender inequality, to the elimination of it, have not paid enough attention to how masculinities are constructed, they need to be addressed, and how boys and men need help to be unsocialized or have these notions of toxic masculinity deconstructed in their own mindsets, their own behavior and practices as well. And that, in my view, needs a great deal of attention, which Chef as an organization is doing.